What's up guys, Josh from soccerreviewsforyou.com, bringing you my review plus on-feet video of the Umbro Medusae Pro in the new Diva Blue color, which Diva Blue, not the greatest name in my opinion, Umbro. Nonetheless, here is a look at the shoes themselves. It's actually a really interesting design. I did a review on these back when they first came out, but I haven't done one since, this being the latest colorway. So we'll take a look at that, of course. We'll also go over tech specs, performance features. I'm gonna be comparing these a lot to the Adidas X16.1, more specifically the leather upper variation, because this does share a lot of similarities to that shoe. It also falls into the same price range, and I think it's a solid comparison overall, and a nice alternative if you were interested in that particular boot. So if you want to learn more about tech specs, stick around. We'll also take a look at how they fit and feel on feet. If you're interested in a pair of these for yourself, I'll leave a little pop-up on screen, or you can click the first link down below. That'll take you to the review page on my website where you'll find buy it now links with exclusive SR4U coupon codes where you'll be able to pick these up below their normal $200 retail price. So the colorway, Diva Blue is this lighter shade of blue you see here at the front where the shoe is actually made from leather. You're also going to find that same blue color as the mesh base for the performance mesh that you'll find throughout the rest of the shoe. Of course, there is a white fused material over top, which does take up the majority of the upper. You see it across the middle where the laces are. You have some reflective bits right here on the back in kind of a silver color, as you would normally find reflective material. The sole plate is mostly white towards the back, and then of course it does transition into that Diva Blue color towards the front, which actually looks quite good, very, very premium, I would say. And then you have your accent color, which is this dark navy blue. It's listed as Astral Aura, which doesn't really explain all that much. Of course, you have that for the double diamonds logo right there, the Medusae branding, the Umbro logo on the front and back, and then of course the stud tips are that same color as well. Same with the double diamond there under the heel. So overall, I actually think this is a pretty good looking colorway and a good looking shoe in general, but let me know what you guys think down below in the comment section. So in regards to performance and tech specs, this is actually a very, very solid performer. Umbro, for those that have been around a little bit longer, you know about this brand, you know they make good stuff, but I guess for the younger generation where Umbro hasn't necessarily been the most popular over the last 10 or 15 years, this is a brand that's been around for a long time. They're very, very reputable, and they still are making some very good stuff. It's not the old school traditional stuff that we used to see from them in the past, but what they have right here in the form of the Medusae Pro or Medusae Pro, I'm not still entirely sure how you say that. Nonetheless, it's a very, very good combination of features. Again, comparable to that of the leather X16.1 from Adidas, which is a popular boot. So what you're gonna get here is a combination of synthetic and leather on the upper. So the leather is here at the front, and it is a kangaroo leather. You can see it spans very clearly on a harsh angle here, running through the lateral side of the forefoot, runs through the entire toe box area, and then it cuts a little bit deeper into the medial side, right into the midfoot, which is really, really nice. I would have loved it if it went straight up right here as well. That would have made for a much more, I guess, true leather experience, but you do get more leather on this shoe versus the leather X16.1. which is definitely a good thing. And speaking of the leather, the quality is actually very, very good. It's a little bit thinner than what you'll get from the Adidas boot, and I think just feels nicer in general. It obviously has a more traditional stitching pattern to it, kind of what we would expect from a more traditional Umbro boot. And again, it feels very, very good. It's comfortable. It offers that soft touch where you actually do have the leather, which is still pretty much towards the front third of the shoe. But if you like that type of feel, this is one of the better leather upper variations of this style that you can get right now. You also have some leather running up the sides where the laces are positioned down the middle of the shoe. And then this mesh material you see for the rest of the upper is just called lightweight performance mesh. It's just that simple. It's basically kind of a plasticky textile base that is completely open, and then you have your fused material on top to add structure and obviously give it a little bit of a, I guess, visual added effect. And then you're also gonna find an A-frame cradle added, where you see these two little kind of different color bits that stick out. Those aren't just there for accent colors, it's actually an extra strip of material that runs in the shape of an A or an upside down V through the entire boot, through the midfoot, of course attached to the lacing system, and that is adding structure to hold your foot in place and give the shoe a nice responsive feel without feeling like the shoe is overly tight. A lot of these kind of added support structure elements can create pinching points, but you definitely don't get that sensation with this particular A-frame structure, which is actually a very, very good thing. The shoes are quite comfortable. You're also gonna find that the laces run through the middle. You have a pretty deep lacing system. So again, I would kind of give the advantage in regards to fit and general comfort to this shoe over the X16.1, partially due to this more standard construction. The X16.1 with its one-piece design, it can fit you really, really well depending on your specific foot, but this will fit more people better just because it has more adjustability to it with its more traditional, deeper lacing system. Nonetheless, the tongue is really, really nice. It's got this soft microfiber material towards the top, which is very comfortable. It looks to be mesh, but it's just a mesh top layer with a memory foam running all the way through, which also feels really, really good. Very comfortable, no lace bite issues, and it offers a pretty nice touch as well. You're gonna find that the heel area is a standard low cut, which I personally have no issues with at all. Very comfortable, kind of what you're used to at this point. You're also gonna find on the inside, it's got a perforated synthetic material for the liner with a good amount of padding back there as well. So it's comfortable, your heel doesn't slip, and the lockdown is also quite good. Insole, fully removable. I'll give you guys a quick look at that. It features a mesh liner on top. You can see it right there. Perforations throughout, and it's a single layer of this white foam. Honestly, nothing fancy, but kind of expected in this style of shoe. And then moving on to the outsole, it's called the Sprint outsole. So obviously it does look a lot like the Sprint frame from Adidas. You could also say it looks a lot like the Mizuno Morelia Neo outsole as well, with the one-piece heel counter attached to the sole plate. It's a standard TPU plastic. It's got the ribs through the midfoot and heel area, good flexibility through the forefoot. And you would think that if they are going to make something that does look very similar to the Adidas Sprint frame, they would call it something completely different, but they just left out the frame part, which I think is kind of funny. And the stud pattern also very, very similar to that of Adidas. You also find that a lot of Umbro boots are listed as HG versus FG, which HG stands for hard ground versus FG, which stands for firm ground. This really isn't a true hard ground stud pattern though. Umbro's just always done this. They've called their firm ground boots hard ground boots. So they've never really made firm ground ones, they've just listed them as HG. So that's kind of the same situation here. I wouldn't say that this is well suited for hard ground necessarily. It's probably better suited for hard ground than what you'll find from the Adidas Sprint frame and their stud pattern, just because the studs have a slightly larger surface area. But overall, I would say this is more of a true firm ground stud pattern. Technically not made for use on artificial grass, by the way. Nonetheless, the studs that you get, you can see in the forefoot area, they're conical on the medial side and then kind of more bladed, kind of diamond shaped on the lateral side. And then you have more of those diamond shaped studs under the heel. And again, it's not going to be too far off performance-wise to what you're going to find from the Adidas brand right now, given that it is such a similar layout. I will say though that this does feel a little bit more aggressive, and I do prefer it over what we have from Adidas at the moment. The other thing worth talking about with this shoe is of course the weight, which in a size 9.9 US, these guys weigh in at 6.7 ounces, which again, in comparison to the X16.1, either the synthetic or leather, it's almost a full ounce lighter than those two shoes, which isn't overly significant, but it can be somewhat noticeable given that you're going from 7.5 to 6.5 ounces, or sorry, from 6.5 to 7.5 ounces is, I guess, somewhat noticeable on feet, more so in hand. But again, I think the big difference you're going to notice between this shoe and the Adidas boot is that the feel and general fit is completely different, where I do feel like this is a little bit more comfortable. So that's kind of the main thing I would consider more so than the physical weight of the shoe. That's enough about tech specs though. Let's take a look at how these things fit and feel on feet. So you can see here on the right shoe, I actually swapped out the white stock laces for some light blue reflective SR4U replacement laces, just because I thought it matched the Diva blue color pretty nicely and gave the shoe a little bit more accent. Just keep things as colorful as possible. Nonetheless, if you are interested in a pair of SR4U laces for yourself, the website to go to is www.sr4ulaces.com. There'll be a little pop-up on screen, as well as a link down below in the description. So if you're interested in a pair, be sure to go ahead and check that out. So what I like about this shoe is that it's very simple in terms of its design. It's got a central lacing system with a regular tongue, so you get them on really, really easily, and you tie them up. You get good adjustability just because it's a nice deep lacing system, so you can make it tighter or looser where you want it to be. And then once you get to the top and finish, it is a nice solid fit. The shoe fits really, really well. So I'll throw on the left boot as well. Really straightforward. I guess this is kind of an uninteresting lace up of the shoes just because there is no quirk to this particular boot, but let me just tie these up really, really quickly. Again, I really like the memory foam insert running through the middle of the tongue. That's something that just feels really good. So you can tie the laces nice and tight, but it doesn't feel like it's kind of cutting the circulation off across the top of your foot or anything like that, which is great. It just feels very comfortable. Just gonna tuck these in. And we'll take a look at both shoes on feet. So again, in comparison to the X16.1, I would say that these have a wider fit overall, but not to the point where they feel sloppy by any means. It's also got a nice deep fit in the heel, which is great in terms of locking your heel in place. That's something that will be significantly different when compared to the X16.1. But again, very, very comfortable shoe. This material, while it can feel a little bit plasticky, this performance mesh, it doesn't really feel like that on feet. It wraps around your foot really nicely. The A-frame cradle adds some nice structure to the midfoot as well. And then you get the softness of the kangaroo leather at the front that just feels really, really good out of the box. And of course, as you wear them in, it will get softer and stretch to the shape of your foot. It's got a snug fit, but they definitely don't feel overly tight. In regards to width, this is one of those shoes that really does feel like it will fit most people. You're not going to get a lot of stretch through the synthetic part of the midfoot, but obviously the kangaroo leather at the front is going to stretch a decent amount depending on how it fits your foot specifically. They're not overly tight. They're not really going to stretch that much. So that will be different from person to person, of course, based on how they fit you. And as far as sizing is concerned, I'm wearing my usual size 9 US here, and the fit and the length is absolutely perfect. So if you are looking to order a pair of these for yourself, I would strongly recommend going true to size in order to achieve the best possible fit. So that is pretty much it, guys, for my review of the Diva Blue Umbro Medusae Pros. If you're interested in a pair, little pop-up on screen, first link down below in the description, go ahead and check it out. You'll find buy it now links with exclusive SR4U coupon codes, where you'll be able to pick these up below their normal $200 retail price. If you have any questions regarding this shoe, leave them down below in the comments and I definitely will get an answer out to you. If you enjoyed today's video, found it helpful and informative, be sure to support it with a like. Subscribe if you haven't already for daily videos on all the latest and greatest soccer gear. You can find all my social media information linked down below in the description as well. And other than that, guys, hope you enjoyed today's video. And as always, thanks for watching. Oh, I think I'm dying.